Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is story time. I haven't posted on YouTube for a long time, as you can see. It's been a rough couple of months, and so I'm gonna let you guys know what happened and what I've been up to and why I haven't posted. So, wow, a long story. Don't know where to start. Okay, well, I was working in October. I'm a nurse, as you guys know. I was working and I got a really bad headache. I had like a severe headache, and I never get headaches, like ever, so that was shocking. I was thinking I was overworked, so I didn't really do anything about it but go to sleep. Bad things, bad patient. Nurses make bad patients. It's not a lie. Like, we think that we got everything under control. It's not true. Go get help when you feel sick. So I just went to sleep and woke up the next day and went to work. And during work, I got worse and worse and worse. And instead of a severe headache, I had a really bad pain in my throat, or pressure, whatever you want to describe it as. And look at that. Tears coming. I had really bad pressure in my throat, and then it went to chest pain, and it was really bad, like really bad, to the point that I asked my charge nurse if I could go home, which I couldn't, but that's irrelevant. I kept working. I felt like the gravity was pushing me to the ground, like I was being shoved to the floor. Like if I bent down, it felt like I was just dying. And by 6 p.m. that day, it got really bad. I was gasping for breath. It was lunchtime, or dinner time, my lunchtime, and I couldn't breathe at all. I don't know if you guys know what COPD patients are, but I tried to do the position they'd use to when they can't breathe, and nothing was working. Sitting up, laying down, crouching, like nothing was helping. So I told my brother by shift change to pick me up because we had to go to urgent care. So we went to urgent care, and they said they didn't know what it was, but that it wasn't strep and that it wasn't a flu. So by that time it was 1 a.m. and I wanted to go to sleep because it was the same day I had work. I called out of work, and then 4 a.m. came, and I woke my brother up in tears, gasping for air again. I was in and out of sleep and I couldn't breathe. So I went to the ER and he had to go to work. He stayed with me as long as he could. My brother's my angel. He left, and they had told me that my labs looked pretty normal, but that I had anemia, which was news to me because that's never been in my labs when I've had my blood taken before. That's not the significant part, though. That was the only thing that they had told me, though. And then they had given me fluids, and by that time my heart rate was 136 and my respirations were like 36, 32, no exaggeration. And it had been like that for a while. And for those who aren't in the medical field, your heart rate should be below 100 and above 60, and your respiration should be under 20 and above 12. So that was not the case, so obviously something was wrong. They gave me fluids, and remember I had chest pain, but no EKG was done. They had said you could be observed in the hospital or go home, and I'm not going to pay to be observed in the hospital, so I went home. I went home, and my cousin had dropped me off, and at that point I was feeling better on the ride home, but not enough better that I could go back to work. I got home and entered into my house, and I was gasping for air again, and nobody was home because everyone was at work or their house. And I called to make a doctor's appointment with my doctor, and he made a space for me the next day. The next day he told me I had pericarditis. He said a lot of my labs were screwed up. He said my globulin levels was bad, my EKG was off the whack, and he said that this is an emergency and I need to go back to the ER. And at this point, I'm like, this is a dream. This is literally, someone pinch me, someone waking me up, because this is not me. I'm literally one of the healthiest people, like out there. Like, no lie, all my friends are like, wow, you're a health freak. Wow. Like, I've never been sick, never went to the hospital. I didn't know what a hospital stay felt like, because I was always home. If I had a cold or something, like, I could get it, make it feel better by natural, like tea and fruits and juicing, stuff like that. It was a hot mess. So I was a little scared because I was alone at this time. I was at the doctor by myself because my brother had to go somewhere important. I forget where. So he brought me to the ER. My brother brought me to the ER, and they were given orders to do certain tests by my doctor. So they did the test, and it showed I had pericarditis and that I had fluid around my heart. They said that I had to be admitted, and they admitted me, and I was there for 4 days, and each day they added something new. The first day they said I had fluid around my heart, and I had pericarditis, which is inflamed heart. The second day they told me I had fluid around my heart a little bit. That's not, like, it's not significant enough to do anything about it. The third day they told me I had fluid in my lungs. And remember, at this point, I still have a high heart rate and a high respiration rate. The fourth day, they told me I had a collapsed lung, a partially collapsed lung. And at this point, I'm like, all of this can get better in time, so I'll be fine. Life will be fine. It's fine. That's not the case, but I didn't know that. The doctors thought I would be fine. They gave me medicine, some antibiotic, and something for the inflammation. And then they sent me home. So I went home, and I was thinking, I'm getting better, am I gonna work Thursday? Am I not gonna work? If I feel better, I won't call in sick. Did not feel better Thursday, actually. Thursday came, and it was, I want to say 3 a.m. in the morning. It was 3 a.m. in the morning, and I had called my mom because I was in severe pain on my head. My head was pounding. Throughout this whole time, I still had the headache. Like, that didn't really go away. It was in and out, but it was always basically there. It just got worse and worse at some points. But this one was the worst. Like, I couldn't deal with it anymore. Like, I felt like I was going to die, which, come to find out later on, you'll find out it was close to that point. But I called my mom so she could help me go to sleep, because the night before the same thing had happened, and she had calmed me down enough for me to fall asleep on the phone. That didn't happen this time, though. That night it got worse and worse. The headache got worse and wouldn't stop. I had this sharp pain in my heart. It was scary. Like, it was seriously scary. My brother's sleeping at this point. I had such sharp pain in my heart that I was like, I can't have a heart attack. It's not a stroke. What is it? Like, what is going on? Am I just gonna die right now? Cardiac arrest? Like, what's happening? Then I felt super hot, and I felt like I was in a TMI. Sorry, I was in a vomit and had diarrhea. So I was trying to run to the bathroom. By this time, my mom's still on the phone. I tried to get up to go use the bathroom, and I fainted, and that's when the phone fell somewhere on the floor, and I had accidentally pressed, she was on speaker, I pressed her off speaker. So I didn't know that. She didn't know that. I fainted, not being able to get up. I was extremely weak. I was extremely hot, so I have a fan, and I had fallen on the fan's wire, so it had ripped out the wire out of the wall. And now my fan's off. I'm trying to plug in my fan. I'm so weak I can't even plug in the fan into the outlet. I'm screaming, Mom, help me, someone help me. Jesus, help me. Brother, help me. But my brother's sleeping, so he doesn't know what's going on. My mom, she's trying to yell at my name. She's yelling, Janice, but she can't hear me. My dad is on the phone with her, and she yells to him, call your son, because Janice needs to go to the ER. So my brother wakes up from my dad's call, and he comes into my room, and he says, let's go to the ER. And I say, I need like 5 minutes, because at this point I still can't get up. Somehow, by God's grace, I'm able to get into the car and get to the ER. I get to the ER, and he had to drop me off because he had to go to work. He dropped me off and said update him. I went into the ER. Don't know how I walked there, because when I sat down for them to take my vitals, I was basically passing out. They couldn't even find my vitals at one point. The guy had said, it's the monitor's not, she has no vitals on the screen, like it's not showing. I had blood pressure. They had finally figured out my blood pressure. It finally appeared on the screen. It was 50/30. For those who don't know medical stuff, 50/30 is not a blood pressure you should have. That is a blood pressure that requires urgent action, or else you will die. They were trying to figure out what was going on. They were trying to ask me questions, but I could barely talk because I was so lethargic, because my blood pressure was 50/30. And what they didn't know is my heart was in severe, what's the word I'm looking for? It was in trouble. My heart was in severe trouble. So the doctor comes and starts yelling orders, give her fluids. My veins were so bad because I had no blood pumping through where it needs to go. Well, there was blood, but not a lot. They poked me. They got the fluids in. They were trying to ask me my questions, and what's your name? And I'm trying to say Janice, but I'm not really able to speak. It's not really coming out. I was like Jen, and I couldn't get it out because I was so weak. They put me in the bed like this so that fluid could go to my head and blood could pump to my brain. They called for an echo. An echo, for those of you who don't know, is a machine where they put like an ultrasound basically of the heart. So it's not painful or anything, although everything else was. But they did an echo on my heart, and that's when they yelled emergency surgery. And I still thinking this is a dream at this point. I said, this cannot be me. Like, what is a surgery? I'm too healthy for this. Like, this is not happening to my life. Like, it just started my life. So my brother thinks I'm on the mend and I'm about to be sent home or something, while in reality I'm being sent to a different hospital to have surgery. I go to the other hospital, which luckily my aunt works at. So she was working at the hospital that day, luckily, and I texted her hoping she would get the text because she's working, so she may not read it in time. I said, they're bringing me to your hospital. They want to do surgery on me. I don't understand what's going on. They say I have too much fluid around my heart, that it increased in the amount of fluid, that it's urgent surgery, and I need you to come. And so she got the message, luckily, and she ran to my side. She was asking questions and freaking out like I'm freaking out. We're trying to call my doctor and my dad. I told my dad what's going on, and he's shocked. I told my aunt to text my brother because I don't have my phone at this point because they took it because they're trying to get me ready for surgery. Told her to tell him that I'm going into surgery because he thinks I'm probably going home, and he's at work. They get me in surgery, and when I come out, I'm so on so many drugs. I see tubes in my chest, 2 tubes in my chest to drain the fluid out, and a big scar right here from the surgery. They had done a pericardial window, which means the sac of your heart, the lining, they cut it out. They cut a window out basically so that the fluid can drain out and it won't stop the heart from beating. So basically, I had a blood pressure of 50/30 because I had so much fluid around my heart it couldn't beat. So the doctor had said I was very close to having a cardiac tamponade, and if it wasn't for my activity and how I eat and how I take care of myself, I would have been dead. Like, my heart would have stopped pumping. So it got worse throughout the hospital stay. Each day they brought bad news. I was getting poked and prodded, a bunch of tests. To fast forward the story, they had told me I had autoimmune disease. I said I have a what? And I also had a virus that causes the headache, the heart problems, and the lung problems. And they say, yes, we believe you have an autoimmune disease. And so now that is what they diagnosed me with. So that is what I've been experiencing these past months, trying to get better from it. It was, by God's grace, I am alive. I had to go back to the hospital the day before Christmas. Basically, I was in the hospital because I again couldn't breathe. And so it was definitely hard to go through, and it still is hard to go manage day by day, trying to understand what God is doing. So I'm making this video not only to explain what happened to me, but to help anyone who's in their spiritual journey, who's struggling, because I could have hated God from this, and for a month I was angry at him. But if you don't realize that you need God in your life to be able to survive even the hardest things, then there is no life without him. By God's grace, I'm alive. If you look throughout the story, I would have been dead if my mom wasn't on. If I hadn't called my mom to help me go to sleep, who she would have called so she could tell my dad to call my brother to bring me to the hospital. If I didn't go to the hospital the time and thought it was okay, like everything's okay, I could have been hurt there too if my best friend wasn't at my house, because at one point everyone was gone at one point, like out the state. If she wasn't at my house for a sleepover that weekend, I may have been able to drive myself to the hospital, but I was very weak at that point too. So at different points throughout my story, you could see, by God's grace, he was there for me. He was saving me. He sent my friends, my preceptor. She's so wonderful. She's now basically family to me. She came and visited me and prayed for me and gave me gifts. I have so much support, and it's hard. It is hard. But I was told a verse, I'm trying to remember how it goes exactly. I was told many verses throughout this. But one of the verses my preceptor had told me was that when we walk through water and when we walk through fire, God will be there. Like, God is by our side. He's not going to leave us, and he's not going to forsake us. I say this, and I strongly suggest you keep this in your heart. Because like that song says, Eye of the Storm, how God remains in control. And in the middle of the war, He's going to be by our side. He's going to walk us through any journey we need to go through. Without him, we are nothing. So I hope this helped you guys. I hope that anyone who's struggling spiritually realizes that God really, truly is there. He loves us, and he wants us to continue helping each other out. And I am doing okay. I am getting better day by day. Some days is a struggle, but that's life. So thank you for listening to my story. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, so others can learn the spiritual journey as well. And